24 hours, nothing but net keeps rolling along here on the live stream. It is a beautiful day in Mount Pleasant, and it is also gorgeous in Iowa City, Iowa. The head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes, Lisa Bluder. Lisa, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure, Debbie. You know how much I support you. This is a great cause, and I'm so excited to have you do this challenge again and raise this money for Special Olympics.
Well, I'm so excited that you're able to be here and you've supported us from the beginning, and we're so grateful, and you understand what Special Olympics means and how it can help families and how it can help families like mine. Do you have some background in Special Olympics that you want to share?
I have a niece that was born with Down syndrome, and she's doing well, but at the same time, it's tough as she gets older, and I just want to be there and support not only her, but everybody that's encountering, learning disabilities or health difficulties.
And that's what you exactly do. I mean, I'm so grateful for your support every year. Thank you so much for donating and for coming on the live stream. So Lisa, everybody knows Lisa Bluder, right? I mean, this was a heck of a year in women's basketball for the Hawkeyes, all the way to the championship game, and just missed, winning the national championship. Tell us a little bit about how the season went for you.
It was a magical year, Debbie. Honestly, one of those years where, things go right. There's no drama, there's no major injuries. Your team comes together, they buy in, and certainly, we would have loved to have won the Big Ten regular season. We finished second to Indiana, a fabulous basketball team in our Big Ten conference. But then going to Minneapolis and winning the Big Ten up there, playing 3 games in 3 days, beating Purdue, Maryland, and then Ohio State in the final, but having 9,000 people there wearing black and gold and really taking over Minneapolis and really having it turn into Hawkeye Carver North was really special. And then we just kept the momentum going from there. From there, we hosted, we were a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. And we hosted and sold out Carver Hawkeye Arena 3 straight times for the years ending against Indiana when Caitlyn Clark hit the shot to beat Indiana in that season final, and then have 2 games where we hosted and beating Georgia to advance to the Sweet 16, and obviously going to the Final Four after beating Louisville. Very, very special season. I've been asked what my favorite point was, and there's too many. There's really too many of them. Obviously beating Louisville to go to the Final Four was a dream come true for me, but beating South Carolina in the semifinal game, a game that really nobody thought we could win, was pretty special as well.
Well, you mentioned Caitlyn Clark, and I know you're so good about keeping the team, together and not just isolating one. And I know that's a challenge because Caitlyn is in high demand. Everyone wants to know what Caitlyn's doing, where she is, how much her game has improved, how much she has changed the level of the game. I've always said the product is a narrative. She's definitely a big part of that. The 9.9 million people that watched the national championship game. I mean, can you put that in any sort of context?
No, I've heard it's, bigger than the Sugar Bowl, bigger than the Cotton Bowl. The statistics are staggering. I don't know if we beat out The Bachelor or not. I'm not sure about that. I think we're close if we didn't beat it out, But, Caitlyn, I think she has changed our game. And I think this team really captured America's heart this year. I think we were a team that everybody loved to cheer for. We started out as kind of the Cinderella team and then kind of blew through that. And I think people were enamored with Caitlyn, but I also think people were enamored with the rest of the parts of our team. When you have Monica Sonano, who's drafted by the LA Sparks, has led the country in field goal percentage or been at the top in the last 4 years. McKenna Warnock, who graduated for our team, also a power forward who started for 4 years. Kate Martin, who's coming back for her 6th year next year as our small forward, and Gabby Marshall is coming back for her 5th year next year as our kind of 3-point shooter specialist. And so there was all the parts that we needed were on this team. It wasn't just Caitlyn. Everybody else had to buy into that. Certainly Caitlyn sold tickets, but everybody else had to know their role and to buy into that. And that's kind of the hard part, or the tricky part, not the hard part, the tricky part about having a star player.
You know, I say on the air all the time, the product is the narrative. Shoot till your arm falls off, ticket selling player. Those are all sort of my little hashtags that I use. And Caitlyn fills all of those. I mean, she's really remarkable. But what I've enjoyed is getting to know the person, Caitlyn, where the competitiveness comes from, where the drive comes from, how she's mature enough to handle the responsibility that she has brought upon herself, but also brought to the game and to her teammates. What would you say about the character of how Caitlyn Clark has dealt with all the celebrity that has come her way and has come to Iowa?
Sometimes I can't imagine the pressure that young people are under today, that are stars because of social media, because of NIL, because of all these different platforms they have. It's a different kind of pressure than what you and I faced, Debbie. And I'm not saying I was a star like that at all. I mean, there was 200 people in the arena when I played, I think. So there was no stars, but it's just a different time right now. And the pressures that they're under is enormous. And I think Caitlyn has handled it beautifully. She is a role model for everybody. She will sign every autograph that comes her way. She understands she's that little girl. She was that little girl looking up to Maya Moore, and now she's that person. And she embraces that and she welcomes it. She's an excellent student as well. She's in our Tippy School of Business, which is a very difficult major here at Iowa, and she's excelling in that area as well. So I think that she's handled it beautifully, and I don't know that many people can handle it as well as she has.
One of the things that I marvel about your career, Lisa, is you spent your whole life in Iowa. You played in Iowa, you've coached in Iowa. You are an Iowa girl at heart, and the University of Iowa has always been a standard and a measuring stick for women's sports. And we just celebrated 50 years. It was a culmination of a year's long worth of celebration, but you allowed me to come and MC your event over the weekend. And it was quite remarkable. I mean, there were about 700 people in Carver Hawkeye, and they were all excited about celebrating Title IX and the 50th anniversary. Isn't it just ironic how you have the greatest season in the history of the program on the 50th anniversary, and for everything that Iowa has represented? Could that stars have aligned any better than that?
Only maybe with a national championship. Maybe that would have been it. But I have to believe that Dr. Grant was watching over and really proud of what we've accomplished with our basketball team this year. You know, Dr. Grant passed about 1.5 years ago, and she would have been so excited to see the celebration of 50 years, something she began at the University of Iowa, and something she fought so hard for, with, you know, losing the AIAW and then the NCAA taking over the AIAW, which she was the president. Her fight for gender equity, Title IX, it does not go unnoticed, and we need to keep her legacy alive, and we are striving to do that at the University of Iowa. And we appreciate you being there, Debbie, and helping us. You are a pro like always, and made the event so much fun. And we celebrated 50 years, but we also kicked off another 50 years.
Yes, I love that you know how to celebrate, Lisa Bluder. I know that you know how to celebrate. It's a really unknown fact about your legacy, is how much fun you get to have and how much fun you're having. I mean, you always look so serious over there on the sideline. Here's the thing about Caitlyn, like sometimes Caitlyn shoots it so deep. I remember last year you were kind of like, I didn't see you kind of question any of your shot selection this year. How did that change?
You know, I think I know now, like, when to pull the strings back on her, when to rein her back and when not to. And I've learned most of the time it's better not to. I mean, she's a player that plays best with freedom, and a lot of coaches would not be able to handle that, but I love it. I love a player that is so confident and so willing to risk things to make things happen. And really, that's how you find success, right? Is by pushing the envelope over and over again. And that's what she does. And we never know what we can accomplish until we push the envelope. And I love that I have a player like Caitlyn who's willing to challenge me, challenge everybody, including the fans, to get behind her, the opposing fans, the officials, everybody. I love that. I think that's really good for our game.
I do too. I think it's amazing. As long as we've been in the game, there's only a couple of players that have come along that are not, you know, like, you don't want to label or put them in a certain category, but you said generational. And the only other player that to me had that kind of star power behind was Jackie Stiles, who played at Southwest Missouri State, which is now Missouri State at the time, but you were the head coach at Drake, and I covered those games. So I watched you try to defend Jackie Stiles. I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this question, but at one point, Jackie was the all-time leading scorer in the history of the NCAA. Now she's been passed up by a couple of players since, but when you go back and think about the times when Jackie would score against a triangle and 2, or she'd score 20 points in 5 minutes, there's really not a lot of players that could do that.
Jackie was a spectacular player. And again, like Caitlyn was such a great role model too for our game. And Cheryl Burnett, of course, an unbelievable coach for Jackie. And I think I'll just put Jackie in positions to allow herself to be great. So I think Cheryl deserves a lot of credit for that. But yeah, Jackie was an amazing player. I had to coach against her many, many times, and I did not enjoy that. And now I'm glad I'm on the other side of the coin of that.
I think you put your time in, is what I would say. I mean, based on the way Jackie dominated the Missouri Valley when you were the head coach at Drake. So what's next, Lisa? I mean, you know, you've got this great nucleus coming back. You're going to be picked in the top 10. The Big Ten, once again, is going to be stacked up with another great set of teams: Ohio State, Indiana, Maryland, yourselves. Michigan will be rebuilding their roster. It's just amazing how much the game has continued to evolve and grow. When you kind of sit back, you know, in your backyard and you kind of try to put your feet up for a minute. I know it hasn't been easy to do that, but when you reflect on, you know, your vision moving forward, what do you see?
You know, we just want to see continued growth. For one thing, you know, season ticket sales is an all-time high for Iowa women's basketball. In fact, we had to halt our season ticket sales because we had exceeded our 15,000 Carver Hawkeye Arena seats. And so that is a great thing, but we have to continue to fight for TV coverage for our program. I want to continue to build this team so that they are, you know, I think they can be the national darlings. I really do, because they do things the right way. They play the game with joy. They play the game with chemistry. They pass the ball. They score the ball. They're fun to watch. And I just want to keep using this team to elevate the sport of women's basketball across the country, because the product is so good out there. Women's basketball is so good, and people are beginning to find out about us, and we need to keep that momentum going.
Well, I'm right there with you, and I'm trying to do my part as well. I would help in any way I could to make sure the game continues to grow. It's been our lifelong passion to see women's basketball exceed at this level. And I'm so grateful for your support. I'm so thankful that I got to spend some time with you over the weekend at the event in Iowa. And I really appreciate your time on 24 Hours Nothing But Net.
Well, we're behind you all the way. I see that Hall of Fame trophy sitting behind your shoulder there, Debbie. Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, amazing career that you've had promoting women's basketball. And I'm so glad that you're getting to see the rewards that you've put in, because you have been there from the very beginning when we had 200 people back in the arenas. And it's people like you, Debbie, that has helped build the publicity and help grow this sport. So I am very thankful for you, Debbie.